Hello! Today I am making a potato crust for a quiche. You can, I was gonna say a pie, but I guess a potato pie or some other kind of pie that's not a sweet pie, a savory type pie. Anyway, I'm making mine for a quiche or a frittata. Now I already cut my potatoes in half, and I am going to put them through the food processor on the grater or shredding blade. I've got this blade in here. You could also use a box grater if you don't have a food processor, or a mandolin. I've also seen where people will thinly slice with a knife or on a mandolin, just to make little paper thin slices like this, and they'll layer them in a pan. That way you can make a pretty design that way, but I want mine shredded. And so, get this out of the way. I am just going to stuff them in here. I'm not going to talk while I do this so that I can fast forward through. Okay, so I just used 3 small potatoes, and I meant to show you how small they were. They were all very small. And I left the skin on. So buy organic potatoes. Most of the nutrition is in the skin and in the part that connects the skin to the white flesh, and so you don't want to lose that. So I'm going to just pour these into a medium-sized bowl here. Now there's a lot of starch in potatoes, and that is a really good kind of starch that feeds your microbiome. Very good for you. It's a very good fiber for us. And while that is really good for us, I also have potato starch here. You could use flour. I am allergic to wheat, so I try not to use much flour. But another thing about potato starch is, you can see this is very fine starch or powder, and so we've lost all the fibers. It's been ground up, and there's not much fiber there. I'm using it more just to hold it together. If you have diabetes or problems with blood sugar, you may want to leave this out. I'm just using it to hold it together better. Something I could use instead would be it's called a flax egg. You combine 1 tablespoon of ground flax seeds with 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, and you let it sit for a few minutes and then pour it in, and that will act like an egg. And so I could have done that. That would have added a lot of omega-3 fatty acids and would have actually made it very healthy, and so I'm kind of regretting not doing that at this point. But I had potato starch on hand. This is a Bob's Red Mill potato starch. I'm just going to put a 1/4 cup in with those 3 small potatoes. I'm going to put in a teaspoon each of onion, dried onion, and dried garlic, and I want 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And you've heard me talk about nutritional yeast before. This is a yeast that is grown on things like molasses or sugar, and then it is fortified with B vitamins, and then it's heated to kill the yeast. And so it's not an active yeast, but it just provides some amino acids and B vitamins. It is a vegan cheese substitute, and so because I'm making a quiche, this will be a little additional cheesy flavor there for me. You can put other herbs and spices in here if you want. So right now I just have the 3 potatoes, the nooch, short for nutritional yeast, garlic, onion, and the potato starch. You can see it's pretty dry, but when I press it into the pan and bake it, it's all going to stick together. I might have to do this recipe again using the flax egg. Okay, so I just have a round pie pan here. It's a regular pie pan. I cut a piece of parchment paper just a little bit larger than it so it can slide in there. So I don't like to cook with oils. So I always use parchment paper to keep food from sticking to the pan. So I'm just going to pour that in. Press it down and up on the sides. And this will be my crust. Now I've also made a quiche or a tart with almond flour. You can use almond flour or chickpea flour. And just add your spices. I just felt like I'm a potato girl. I love potatoes, so I just wanted to put potatoes in here. Alright, so it'd be kind of like having hash browns. So this is going to be, we like to eat quiche for breakfast. We eat quiche any time of day, right? And so I'm going to be making a chickpea flour quiche. Sounds very interesting, doesn't it, if you've never had anything like that before? And it could also be made with tofu instead of chickpea flour. I'm just trying to show you some alternatives to eggs for those of you who are allergic to eggs. And then have some alternatives for those of you who are allergic to soy and eggs. Or just trying to eliminate cholesterol, lower your cholesterol by reducing eggs. Alright, so I just pressed it in. I think it needs a little bit of salt. Potatoes usually do. You could leave this out if you're watching your salt. Just going to sprinkle some salt on top. I could have stirred salt in with the garlic and the onions. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the oven at 375 degrees for 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. Alright, here is our potato crust. So it was in the oven at 375 for 20 minutes. It just looks like a giant hash brown. It would actually be pretty good if you put some chopped onions in there as well, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm going to let this cool for a few minutes. And that is our potato crust. Enjoy!